This is war. Tanks rolling in, citizens praying, and hopes that peace will prevail, shattered. An aggressive act with worldwide repercussions.
This is extremely serious. It's an attack on a peaceful, sovereign, independent nation.
Including the U.S.
We ask the Lord to watch over and protect those who are in harm's way.
After Russia launches an invasion of Ukraine.
It's a map that paints the picture. Russia has launched a full-scale assault on Ukraine, the Russian military attacking the country from the north, east, and south. I'm Jessica Easthope in for Christine Persichetti. Cities across the sovereign nation have been hit with airstrikes. More than 40 Ukrainian soldiers and up to 10 civilians have been killed. Thousands are being forced to flee their homes. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russia has embarked on a path of evil, but Ukraine is defending itself. Our coverage begins with Isabel Rosales with the latest on the war and more U.S. sanctions.
President Joe Biden unleashing several more crushing economic sanctions against Russia, saying they're designed to, quote, maximize long-term impact on Russia and minimize the impact in the U.S. and its allies.
The United States is not doing this alone.
Biden says the new sanctions will block 4 major Russian banks from the U.S. financial system, freezing their assets.
We will limit Russia's ability to do business in dollars, euros, pounds, and yen to be part of the global economy.
Before the first light of dawn, the Russian attack began. Missiles raining down on locations near the capital, Kyiv. Stunned Ukrainian families taking cover in subways turned bomb shelters.
They actually attacking in our neighborhood, and they're making us feel insecure and very unsafe.
Others scrambling to pull money out of ATMs or deadlocked in traffic to evacuate the capital city of Kyiv.
Well known.
In a chilling TV broadcast, Russian President Vladimir Putin warning other countries to not interfere.
Russia's response will be fast and give you such consequences you will never face again, and you faced again in your history.
Biden unfazed in his response.
Putin is the aggressor. Putin chose this war. And now he and his country will bear the consequences.
In Washington, Isabel Rosales, Currents News.
Father Andre Zelinsky of the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church is the deputy head of military chaplains of Ukraine. He's in a bomb shelter in Kyiv, and he described the situation there on the phone.
This is completely an apocalyptic scene. To think something like this happening in the 21st century in downtown, right now I'm in the bomb shelter downtown Kyiv. This is unbelievable, unacceptable. But this teaches us a lot. Teaches us that life costs lives. The lie about denazification of Ukraine is one of the greatest lies I ever heard about this nation. So this is completely unbelievable what we've been witnessing these hours. I was among the first chaplains in 2014 in the eastern part of the country. But this time, since 5 in the morning, the territory of the whole country, one of the largest countries in Europe, has been attacked by missiles, by aviation. Right now, there's a lot of airplanes in the sky of Kyiv, bombing downtown, bombing one of the biggest cities of Eastern Europe.
Father Zelinsky also says the people who have taken shelter with him are turning to their Catholic faith, praying for peace.
Right now, there are a few developments to the situation. There were those who were trying to leave the city in the morning, and that's why forming huge traffic jams. But then there are those who stayed in the city and who are praying right now. We are finding ourselves in one of our churches with the people around us, praying and listening to the artillery shelling, to the sounds of artillery.
That was Father Andre Zelinsky of the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church and deputy head of military chaplains of Ukraine. As the invasion began, artillery rockets could be seen being fired from Russian territory into Ukraine. Frederick Pleitgen is on the ground at the Ukraine-Russia border with more.
What we've been seeing here over the past couple of minutes, over the past really 45 minutes since we've been here, there's more rocket that's being fired right now. If we look in the sky, we can see it there. If we pan up, there's another salvo being fired right now. So you can see in this area the Russians firing artillery rockets towards Ukraine. And at the same time, we've also seen them move in heavy armor through the road that I just pointed to before. We saw howitzers going down that road just a couple of minutes ago. We've seen armored vehicles going down that road and troop carriers going down that road as well. So this seems to be one of the main supply lines for the Russian military, for their offensive, at least for the Kharkiv region. This seems to be where the Russian military is sort of feeding that offensive from right here. In fact, if we pan over there, you can see there's another sort of troop transporter that's actually coming out of the area from the front line. So as you can see, there's that sort of movement that's going back and forth. And the folks who are manning that checkpoint, mostly police officers, they're very nervous, and they stopped us from filming already a couple of times, especially when that heavy armor moves through, clearly not wanting to show the full extent of what is actually going in there.
That was Frederick Pleitgen reporting. After capturing the Chernobyl power plant, Russian troops started moving into the outskirts of the capital city of Kyiv. As Russian troops advance further into Ukraine, the hearts of Ukrainian people still living in the country and around the globe are broken over the situation. And there's concern among Ukrainians in America for family and loved ones back home. Outside the Russian embassy in Washington, D.C., moments of pride breaking through protest.
In the 21st century, it's horrible to start a war and to seize the territories of its neighbors. Like first Russia annexed Crimea, and then it started a hybrid war in eastern Ukraine and Donbass.
Vows to uphold Ukraine's independence and peace despite a Russian attack. But Ukrainians in the United States are so shocked the conflict escalated to this.
We live in Skatos, that's 50 miles from Crimea. They were preparing for that, though they were staying optimistic about it. But yeah, definitely that's quite shocking to see.
In Chicago's Ukrainian village, residents are terrified, helplessly trying to contact family. Many fear the worst, knowing their relatives will be asked to fight.
They are scared because the Ukrainian government is going to hire soldiers from 18 to 50 years old. So I have in the same age my family.
New York City is home to the largest Ukrainian population in the United States. In the Diocese of Brooklyn, Bishop Robert Brennan urged Catholics to pray for those in their own community and around the world.
Here in Brooklyn, from the Ukrainian community, we join with them in prayers for the nation of Ukraine, but we also pray for the larger peace of the world. We turn to the Lord in our moment of need.
Vatican Secretary of State Cardinal Pietro Parolin reiterated Pope Francis's call for Ash Wednesday to be a day of prayer and fasting for peace in Ukraine.
And we continue to pray and fast, as we shall do this coming Ash Wednesday, for peace in Ukraine and in the entire world.
And men and women religious at the monastery of the UGCC in southeastern Ukraine are making their voices heard. Despite the difficulties of providing assistance in now occupied territory, the major archbishop of the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church has said priests and nuns will remain in the country and continue to serve. Also helping people on the ground in Ukraine is the Catholic charitable organization Caritas. The president of the organization's Ukraine branch, Tania Tetlow, releasing this video following news of the invasion.
It's hard to believe in the 21st century that we were waking up to the sounds of explosions and of air raid sirens.
She went on to say, right now, Caritas is holding a variety of emergency meetings to get the latest information, keep up on their safety of their staff, and be prepared for the looming international displaced persons crisis they expect to see. Tatiana went on to ask for people's solidarity, prayers, and support as they continue to respond to the needs on the ground. If you would like to help Caritas in their efforts, you can send donations to their website, caritas.org. You can find their appeal for Ukraine right on their homepage. Russia's invasion of Ukraine is already seeing impacts on a global scale. Fund managers from around the world cutting back on investments in the country. This as the Russian ruble weakened nearly 7% to historic lows, and Moscow's stock exchange saw a record 30% falls. In terms of inflation woes, oil and natural gas prices are surging. Corn and wheat prices have also jumped, both top exports for Russia and Ukraine. Meantime, the U.S. stock market rallied after President Biden announced the expanded sanctions. The Dow Jones erasing a deficit of more than 800 points with a gain of over 90 points by closing bell. Similarly, the S&P and the NASDAQ recouped all their losses, the S&P gaining 63 points and the NASDAQ more than 400 points. More on the heart-wrenching situation in Ukraine coming up. It's a scene reminiscent of World War II, people fleeing underground to bomb shelters. We'll speak to a mother who sought refuge with her children in a subway station. Also ahead, the Holy Father is meeting with Catholic students from across the Americas. And we'll introduce you to the incoming president of Fordham University. She's making history not only as the first woman, but as the first layperson to lead the Jesuit school.
There are now some big changes to the tablet website. You can get personalized access to the Catholic news you value. Sign up for free at thetablet.org.
For the first time in its 180-year existence, Fordham University has named a president who's neither a man nor a priest. On July 1st, Tania Tetlow will become the first woman and first layperson to lead the Jesuit University. She joins us now. Tania, first off, congratulations. How does it feel to make history twice? First at Loyola University in New Orleans as the first woman and layperson to lead there, but now again at Fordham.
Well, I'd like to think I'm getting pretty good at it, but it's such an exciting opportunity, and I have learned a lot from making this transition here at Loyola New Orleans about using it as a chance for lay people to really remember that we have to own the mission too, that it is the responsibility of each and every person at the university to speak in the language of our Jesuit Catholic values, to understand the charism, to make the mission manifest. So I hope I practiced that well here and loved every minute of it, and I'm very excited to bring that to Fordham.
Truly leading from the middle, right? And you and your family have a really, really unique connection to Fordham. Tell me a little bit about it.
It is pretty unique. My parents met at Fordham. My mom was a graduate student studying to be a theologian, and my father was actually a Jesuit priest studying at Fordham for his PhD. And so they met and fell in love, and my dad had the very hard decision to make of how best to serve God's calling, and he decided that he really felt called to be a husband and a father. And so he left and they got married, and I was born in New York, as was my sister, and spent first 3 years running around that campus.
And again, like you said, your father was a priest, your uncle is a priest, and your mother a theologian. How has the depth of faith in your family really contributed to the person you've become?
Well, I got sung to sleep with Gregorian chant, and dinner table conversations really revolved around theology and biblical history. So I had no choice about getting a Jesuit education from birth. It's really so deeply rooted in me, and it's been such a joy to find all of the ways that that training is part of who I am. And thus how I can connect it not just with the taglines and the ways we talk about things, but at a really deep level of connecting it to absolutely everything that we do, speaking the language of mission, of understanding the ways of Jesuit discernment, of making decisions, of so much. So it is an unusual training, but a very thorough training in faith and in the Jesuit charism.
And I understand that you have had a pretty famous mentor, Congresswoman and Ambassador to the Vatican, Lindy Boggs. Did you learn any important lessons from her?
so many lessons. She was someone who lived out her faith and integrity and virtue while not hiding away from the world, that she found the strength to exercise great power as a member of Congress and as an ambassador, while being an incredibly devout Catholic and remarkable human being. And so watching her do that every day, of learning so much of the joy she found in human beings, of how she balanced family and the church and her work so gracefully. My whole life I just wanted to be her when I grew up. So I know I had her until she was 97, and her daughter Cokie Roberts really took over the mentor role for her after that. But I feel her presence very much today.
And Tania, as you prepare to make the big move this summer and assume the leadership at Fordham, what goals do you have for this venerable institution?
It is already so academically excellent and so relevant to the world. Is to make it more so, is to continue that constant striving for the magis, as we say, to do ever more, and to be part of making it the kind of elite institution that still provides an engine of opportunity for so many families who are the first to go to college, that creates the research that solves the problems of the world, and most of all, that really succeeds because of mission, not in spite of it, that we double down on who we are and why we matter to New York and to the country.
Definitely the beginning of a new era. Tania Tetlow, incoming president at Fordham University, thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Thursday, 13 lucky students got a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, the chance to sit down with the Pope and discuss their experiences with migration. The virtual event included college students from North, Central, and South America and was organized by Loyola University and the Pontifical Commission for Latin America. Justin McClellan reports from the Vatican with what the Holy Father had to say to the next generation.
Pope Francis stayed here in Rome tonight, but virtually he took a trip to Chicago to meet with students from Loyola University and across the Americas. It was an unprecedented synodal encounter between Pope Francis and university students to put into practice what the Pope so often preaches: dialogue.
Buenas tardes, Santo Padre. Soy Alejandra Sastoque, soy colombiana y hoy represento a la Universidad de Loyola en Chicago.
Alejandra was one of 13 college students to tell Pope Francis the struggles she faced as a migrant coming to the United States.
Ese trabajo de destigmatización que tenemos que hacer.
The Pope encouraged them to get their hands dirty and not only study issues related to migration, but put their words into action. They presented their ideas for creating a more just society to the Pope, including working with the Church to integrate migrants into new cultures.
Un universitario que no es inquieto, que no arma un poco el lío, le falta sal, le falta pimienta, le falta algo que le dé vida.
It was a chance for the Pope to learn about the issues young people care about, particularly in the United States, where nearly a quarter of U.S. citizens have one foreign-born parent.
Well, the Pope has often talked about the value of sharing the wisdom of older generations with the youth, and tonight he drew from his own experience as a son of migrants in Argentina to respond to the migration stories of 13 students. It's a message these college students won't soon forget, and it comes from none other than the Pope. At the Vatican, Justin McClellan, Currents News.
And now back to the developing news in Ukraine. Vladimir Putin is continuing to carry out his attack on the sovereign nation. As a result, world leaders, including President Biden, announcing new drastic sanctions against Russia. And of course, the citizens of Ukraine are facing an uncertain future, many of them going underground and taking shelter in subway stations as explosions go off right above them. More on those people, the innocent victims of war. They're packed on train platforms in the northeastern city of Kyiv, hoping to escape the deadly bombardment. Clarissa Ward is there and spoke with a mother and son who have nowhere else to go.
There are just hundreds and hundreds of people who are hunkered down here with absolutely no sense of what tomorrow will bring, frankly, of what the rest of today will bring. And I want to introduce you. We've been talking to Oksana here, who is with her two children. Oksana, what are your children's names?
My name is Yaroslav.
Your name is Yaroslav. How old are you, Yaroslav?
I am 9 years old.
Are you scared? I'm so-so. So-so, you're a very brave boy.
Thank you.
And you have a daughter here as well.
Yes, she's named Kate and she's 6.
Is she okay?
I think she wants to sleep because we woke up in 5
a.m. Yeah.
Yes, because we heard some
explosions.
Yes, explosions.
What was your reaction?
It was scary. We was scared. Of course, we had some bookcase. Yes.
Suitcases.
Suitcases. Yes, and.
You came here. How long have you been here?
Not so long. I think 2 or 3 hours. We came to parents of my husband, and after we came here.
And what will you do now? Will you stay here tonight?
Yes, I think yes. Yes.
Do you have food? Do you have everything you need? This is what you have.
Yes, and water. That's all.
You seem remarkably strong, given how scary the situation is.
We try be brave because we have children and we don't want to show them that we are scared.
That was Clarissa Ward reporting from a subway station in the city of Kyiv, Ukraine. There's no word if food and facilities are available for the hundreds of people in the subway stations. We'll keep you posted. And stay with Currents News for continuing coverage of the invasion of Ukraine. You can also go to our website, currentsny.tv, and thetablet.org for more updates and stories. Still to come on Currents News, caught on camera, a very close call for one state trooper, and how a drop in the number of COVID cases may be prompting the CDC to once again change guidelines. It was a close call for one Vermont state trooper after he was nearly crushed by an SUV over the weekend. Dashcam footage shows a silver SUV spinning out of control and flipping several times into a ditch. There were 2 kids in the vehicle. Luckily, they were both in car seats and are doing okay. With more winter weather on the way, the trooper hopes this video will remind people to slow down and buckle up. Abortion pill use has shot up drastically during the pandemic. A new study from the Guttmacher Institute states that 54% of all abortions administered in the U.S. throughout 2020 involved the 2-pill method as opposed to a surgical procedure. The report comes as the Supreme Court is expected to rule on a Mississippi law this spring, which bans abortions at 15 weeks. If the justices side with the hospitality state, their decision could finally overturn Roe v. Wade. The COVID pandemic may no longer be considered a crisis soon. New infections in the U.S. have plummeted by more than 90% since peaking in January, the daily average dropping from roughly 800,000 cases to 56,000, a level that was last reported before the Omicron variant was confirmed. And that drop in cases is likely contributing to a new CDC decision. The agency is changing how it determines COVID restrictions, a move that could roll back many mandates. The CDC will no longer go by case count alone when it comes to determining risk levels. Instead, it will look at hospitalizations and death rates to guide restrictions. The change is largely due to Omicron's mild symptoms and the increase in vaccinations. And that is Currents News. I'm Jessica Easthope. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.